Hi everyone, and welcome back to ESO Live. This is our third episode. I'm Jessica Folsom, English Community Manager for the Elder Scrolls Online.
My name is Kai Schober. I'm the German Community Manager.
And so first we'd like to take a look at what is in store for this episode. So we're going to go over the show outline. So first we have Fan Creation Showcase with Senior Concept Artist Jeremy Fensky. We'll look at some of your amazing drawings.
We'll do a recap of the ESO news of the last weeks.
Then we'll have upcoming fan-created community events, so you can know what to look in store for the next couple weeks on the North American and European mega servers.
Our audio director, Brad Darrett, is going to join us and answer some questions about life in years at Elder Scrolls.
Then we'll take a look at a couple ESO merchandise items that are currently available in the Bethesda store.
And probably the item that everyone's looking forward to, the Update 5 section, where we have a full house, lots of developers here talking about all the content in Update 5. Woohoo!
And we will have Q&As after each developer goes over their little section. So keep your questions in mind, and we'll be taking them throughout the Update 5 preview. And of course, we will have giveaways throughout the show as always. So we want to thank you all for joining us for this episode, and let's get started by looking at the fan creations.
So there's so much awesome work of the ESO fans all around the internet. We're going to pick some of them, want to present them. Small selection, and with us is Jeremy.
Hi.
Hey, welcome
hey,
to the
Jeremy.
show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
So Jeremy is a senior concept artist here at ZenimaxOnlineStudios.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about what you do at ZOS.
Well, as a concept artist, it's our job to draw and paint and design everything from environments, characters, props. Everything in the giant game needs to be designed and figured out on paper before we go and build it. So it's a job of the concept artist to work close with the art director and come up with the overall look and feel of the game. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I think that picture we just had up there was
yeah, that was
that one that you did?
That was one of mine. Yeah, that was an early concept for the coming Murkmire zone, and we'll also a lot of this work and a big effort that we've been doing lately is creating load screens. So every time the player zones in and out of different areas, they're not seeing the same image over and over again. They're seeing pretty art everywhere. So yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Those are very nice.
Let's look at some of the player art, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. So here's the first one. This is Lady Ace by VMF87RS. That is a tough one to say on DeviantArt.
Yeah, this image is really interesting. I like how the figure is breaking the frame, and you know those mountains in the scene definitely feel a lot like Oridon. So yeah, great job.
Yeah, it looks like
That's
a
really nice.
Altmer warrior, or not a warrior, but an Altmer adventurer.
It does. Here we have a collection of Raisari, Golmok, and Shere Khan.
Yeah, these are really cute. I like these. I like seeing fan art that kind of breaks the style that we're used to seeing with our art. So yeah, good job. I really like the cartoony feel.
Look
It's
at that little scamp.
very
Looks like
cute.
he's cooking.
Oh yeah, yeah, something evil, I doubt.
And this is ESO Armor by Rhiannonos on DeviantArt.
Yeah, this is cool. I like seeing some traditional art here. A lot of the submissions usually are digital, so it's good to see people using their traditional skills and with pencil here on paper. Looks like the Daedric armor.
It does,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very
It does.
cool.
I like
Love
all
to
the
see it
shading.
painted, you know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Bring it back next time.
Here we have, oh, actually, Kai.
I don't care. Count Veranda's Ravenwatch. You probably encountered him in The Dagger for Covenant. It was made by the 13th Warrior on DeviantArt.
Great. Yeah, I like the two different lighting situations you have here. I like that really intense glow and you know some lens flare in the foreground. It's really interesting.
Love this character
Nice
too.
line work
Yeah.
too. Yeah, very careful line work. So good job.
And story is also very interesting.
This one is a Dunmer named Lilal by the Sweet Roll Thief on Tumblr. Looks like she has a secret.
She does.
Yeah, you know, poses like this, portraits like this are very difficult to do, and especially at angles like that. So I think the artist did a very good job at representing.
Nice lighting too.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Also from the Sweet Roll Thief, we have a Bosma Nightblade named Elsie.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I like the integration of the sigil in the background. It's a little dark, but I can see the definitely influence from a lot of the sigil work that we did in the game. So
some of those Nightblade particle
yeah,
effects.
yeah, the Nightblade's super cool, and I like how it's popping. You know, the
gold
bright gold.
released
Yeah,
out, yeah.
very cool.
This is a portrait of an Orsimer by Devris Malvin on Tumblr.
Yeah, cool. This looks really. I like the cartooning. Like I said again, I like to see the fan art kind of breaking away from the typical style. So it's another nice cartoony kind of look to it. It's good. Yeah.
And this is the Imperial Dragon Knight Serene Irian, I hope I pronounced that right. It's done by Lichloft. You can find it on Tumblr.
This is it's very impressive. I like the careful line work, a lot of the detail in the background. It definitely feels like the world that we built. Kudos to the artist on this. It's a nice piece. Yeah.
And Naaman, you either love him or you hate him. And if you don't know why, you will.
Yeah, don't
By
spoil
Ahito on DeviantArt.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually did one of the paintings in the art book.
Oh,
for
yeah?
this. Yeah.
Hey.
So if you have the art book, it's in there. Really great job though on this. It definitely hits the character quite a bit with just a simple portrait, and I love that it feels traditional.
Yeah, really nice paint really style.
Yeah, very nice. Good job.
All right, so that wraps up our fan art. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And next we're going to get into the news. And before we transition into that, we've got one more fan submission for you. It is a song. It's actually a cover of a song in ESO called Weapons Drawn, and this one is by Torzalan.
And it's great.
Yeah. Oh, that song makes me want to punch Daedra in the face. It's so good.
Yay, let's talk about the opportunities to punch them.
Yes.
Starting the news sections, and we're starting with a very exciting news. Update 5 is coming to PTS next week. We'll have
Finally!
all about it later in the show.
And as many of you know, we did have our very first Guild Summit last week. It went very well. We invited 19 individuals from a variety of different guilds all across North America and Europe, and there they are. And you can look over some of the summit news, and very detailed, in fact, from some of our attendees. Sites like Tamriel Foundry, Millennium, Das Netz, and Kai will have to help me with this last one.
It's the ESO Schatzsucher, but we're just mentioning a few. There's so much out there.
There is. So We are going to go over some of the highlights, but if you'd like to really dig into a lot more of the detail, those are some of the places that we recommend you go take a look. So first up, we wanted to talk about the Combat Responsiveness Roundtable. That was the very first one that we did. Some of the things that we went over were animations rework that we're doing. So we're making the animations more fluid, we're actually adding more, we're improving the performance of animations. And coupled with that, some of which you've already seen is the particle effect culling work. You saw some of that in Update 4, and that is a continued effort to also improve performance.
Yeah, especially in PvP.
Yes, especially in PvP. We're also working on better in-game cues for when you're in first-person mode. So when you're fighting in first person, you can better tell if you're getting hit by something, or if you're standing in something you shouldn't be before somebody yells at you.
Right.
And last but not least, we're also looking into solutions for block casting. We know that that's been a very popular topic where people can block and cast an ability while they're blocking, and if that should be something that people can do or not. So we are looking at some options, what we can do, and taking all of that feedback into consideration.
We did talk about crafting collectibles and systems, and can start with the great news for all the collectors out there, all the gatherers who have limited inventory space or limited bank space. Yeah. We will bring a collectible system that's going to take your pets and your costumes out of your inventory into this new system from where you can still activate them, of course.
But they won't take up room.
No, they won't. Talking about room, we're also streamlining the provisioning system, or reduce the amount of ingredients there. Streamline
Another
the
thing I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I think my bank is full of provisioning items.
And we're going to complete the recipe collection with food and drinks for veteran rank 10.
Woo!
We'll have crafting wits and surveys, which are coming actually in Update 5, and we're going to talk more about them later in the show. We'll have something more for crafters, even more, keep it coming. The new Dwemer racial style, also coming Update 5, also later on the show.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah. Then a little bit further out is the Sifkin armor and glass armor and even glass weapons. Last not least, the Twice-Born Star will get a new set, which is going to take care of all those who did their research and now have 9 traits available.
Start researching now.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very good set. So we also talked about PvP and the Imperial City. That was a great it was a great roundtable, and it was definitely a heated discussion, but a lot of good stuff came out of it. So we are working on some forward camp changes based on the feedback that we've gotten from our players. We'll have more details about what that's going to be, but it is planned for Update 5. We're also working on exploring some solutions for the current state of how oil pots are used in PvP, where they're used for as a point-blank AoE, almost like a siege weapon. So we want to make some changes where that won't be the case. We're exploring having a dead zone around the oil pot. More details to come on that. We also looked at the Imperial City, which we know many of you are really looking forward to. In the Imperial City, everyone will be flagged for PvP, so it is essentially an open PvP zone, but it also does have a lot of PvP, PvE elements.
Yeah, all the monsters waiting to be killed.
Yep. Now, no siege weapons are allowed in the Imperial City. They have a siege weapon ban in the city.
Who would want to use siege weapons in an urban zone?
So when you fight, you have to fight with your own weapons and no siege weapons. The Imperial City also has the sewers in it, which is a large open PvP dungeon. Yeah. It also has the Imperial Prison, which is a 4-man dungeon, and that one is actually PvE as it is instance, whereas the Imperial City sewers is completely open.
It's free for all and kill them all. We talked about the champion system, one of the things we have in store coming up soon. Actually, it's going to start in Update 5.
Yep.
We will
with the
convert
veteran improvements.
the veteran points to XP. You no longer need veteran points to rise up in the veteran levels, but you can do it as you're used to before level 50 with questing, with exploring, of course with killing monsters. As soon as the champion system is there, every character above level 50 will earn champion points these champion points will go into a pool, and every character on your account, even the ones below level 50, can use them. Not the total, but everyone will have a separate pool.
So account-wide, but per character.
Yes. We are going to remove the soft caps in future updates. And we're working on adding more granularity and clarity to the character progression and the tooltips. Last not least, together with the champion system, we'll introduce our enlightenment system, which is some sort of rested XP, but better. It will allow you to pick up quicker with your champion point gain if you had to take a break or if you wanted to play another character for a while.
Yep, so it does build while you're online,
Yeah.
as long as you're not leveling on a level 50 character that would be using the Enlightenment. So we also talked about skills and itemization. This was probably our largest roundtable as far as content goes. It was very meaty, and it's one that people have reacted very well to online when they've read the recaps.
Yeah.
So to kind of go over what we talked about with those as far as the high level stuff, we're going to be working on global improvements to tooltips, as Kai said, to make them more clear. We're also releasing the Undaunted item sets, which we are going to talk about a little bit more in this show, and those are coming in Update 5.
Oh, and that's special.
Yeah, those are based on dungeon bosses, and each of them has their own special ability. It's a passive ability, it's procs. We're also going to be exploring changes and improvements to AoE caps. So that is AoE target caps that are particularly prevalent in PvP. What we're currently looking at now is some sort of a diminishing return on how many targets it hits. So we'll have more details on that as they come. We're also evaluating and improving underutilized synergies, abilities, morphs, and traits.
So much to do.
Yes. Overall, we're improving all the things. We also have increased gold drop rates.
Yay! More money.
Minimum wage has been increased in Tamriel across the board. So that is for humanoid monsters will drop more gold overall, and bosses, regardless of whether they're humanoid or not, will also drop more gold. So this will really help those of you who have been running through Dragonstar Arena veteran mode and
left them gold in the arena. Yeah.
And last but not least, we're looking into improvements for healing in ESO to make those smart heals just a little smarter.
Right. We had a roundtable about the trials, the dungeons, and the Dragonstar Arena, where we present the City of Ash. We're going to talk about this later here on the show because it's coming with Update 5. We also introduced the Imperial Prison. We did present some improvements on the looking for group tool. Once again, something we have later on the show here next to me. And we got really, really good feedback. So we are considering to implement a solo arena for Dragonstar where you can go in on your own, see how good you
and see if you're really better than your friends.
We also received a lot of great feedback, great requests, which we're taking into consideration in regards to the trials. And we're thinking about making them longer and maybe in a more traditional way.
All right, so last but not least is the justice system, which we know a lot of people are looking forward to. Of all the things that we covered in the Guild Summit, I think this is the one that created the most discussion afterwards.
It did.
As most of you know, the justice system, you can embrace your inner outlaw, or you can decide instead to be an enforcer and bring the law back to the land. Both sides have their own skill lines. You can be an outlaw or an enforcer, and you have your own skill line. You will accrue a bounty if you break the law, of course, as an outlaw. That includes stealing, breaking into houses, murdering, of course.
Don't do this at home.
Yes. So if you are if you are an enforcer and you break the law, you actually can't be an enforcer until you make amends. So in addition to being able to fight other players via this system, you can actually fight NPCs who are also a part of the justice system, so NPC bandits. So we look forward to bringing you more information on the justice system soon.
And now something you do not have to steal. We want to give away a hoodie.
Yes, our first giveaway.
might know the trick. Nope, it's
Where is it?
on
Over
the
here.
other side.
I know where it is.
So,
we've given away one of these in the last few shows, so
Yeah.
this should be familiar to you for those of you who've watched. Here it is.
and if you want to have a chance to win this, type in Donaudampfschifffahrtskapitänsmütze now. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
Type in hoodie now.
Just And we will get you your size, and you can choose which alliance you would like. So Altmary, Daggerfall, Ebonheart. Just let us know which one you would want if you win.
Yep.
This is perfect for fall. It's nice and warm.
Oh, it is.
Yes, it's actually very heavy duty and thick. All right.
We give them enough time? No.
What do you think?
What are you going to do? Are you going to steal or going to murder?
Oh, well, I am going to be an outlaw.
I will chase you.
No. All right, let's see who our winner
let's
is.
see who's the winner. I'll wait for a name to pop up.
Who's our winner?
And
Who's
the
our
winner is Evans M4491. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Evans.
Yay.
And we will send you your hoodie post haste. All right. What's up next?
Look, we've had our events. Let's cover some fan events.
Yes.
See what's up next on our server. Hey, here we are. So there's so much going on the server, both the North American and the European mega server.
Every week, new
We
events.
Picked some of them, would like to introduce you. Maybe you have the time and join them.
All right, so our first one is classes at Shada Stula Thaumaturgy. So this one is on Saturday, October 11th. So this Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the North American Mega Server in Shada Stula in Deshawn. This one's for Ebonheart Pact members. Come and learn about thaumaturgy.
We'll have the Summons of Joan and Jode. It's a reoccurring event, and it's taking place on the North American server in the Altmary Dominion. This month you can join on October 12th and October 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Next up, we have the unofficial Tavern Night. This is a regular reoccurring one we've seen a few times. This happens on Tuesdays. The next couple are October 14th and 21st at 8 p.m. at Eastern Time on the North American Mega Server. Contact the Duchess of Kvetch if you would like more information.
The Waywest Mages Guild holds their usual lecture nights. I'm sorry. This month it's going to be on October 15th and October the 22nd, both at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It's on the European Mega Server in the Waywest Mages Guild.
And this is another favorite of ours, the Soup Kitchen Free Clinic and Workshops in Fells Run. This one happens on Wednesdays. The next couple are on October 15th and 22nd at 8 p.m. At the Run Inn Tavern in Fells Run. There's a whole list of contacts there if you would like to participate. We hear this is a really fun event, and this is on the Daggerfall Covenant side.
And if you're playing in the Altmary Dominion on the North American server, the Greenleaf Tavern is something you might want to join. It's another reoccurring event. It takes place on Thursdays. Actually on Thursday, October 16th and 23rd. Starts at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and another one starts at 11 p.m.
Next up is the Green Hill House of Chance. This one is on the North American Mega Server in Reaper's March for Altmary Dominion members. It's on Friday, October 17th at 9 p.m.
We have the Player Live auction. It's taking place on Saturdays in October the 18th, October the 25th, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the North American mega server in Reaper's March, which belongs to the Altmeri Dominion.
The Ember Heart Tavern Nights is coming up again on Saturdays. The 18th and the 25th are the next time you can participate in this one at 8:30 p.m. Central European Time on the European Mega Server in Gearmans Hall, and that is for Evanhart Pact members.
We'll have the Eve of the Witches Festival coming up. It's on October 12th, Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the North American mega server for the Evanhart Pact.
And our last event happening over the next couple weeks is the Witches Festival Eve, very similar to the last one. Sounds like there is something important going on the 12th.
Yeah.
So this one is also happening on Sunday, October 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This is at Alcaire Castle grounds on the Daggerfall Covenant side. You can also contact Duchess of Kvetch about this one. She's a social butterfly, isn't she?
She is busy.
All right, so that wraps up our events.
It does.
We are next going to go into our Life at ZOS segment, and this episode we'll be talking to audio director Brad Derrick. Hey Brad.
Hey.
Welcome. Thank you
Thanks.
so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, glad you made the way.
All the way downstairs,
All two stairs, all two floors.
yes. I try to avoid stairs as much as possible, but I figured it was worth it. So.
Awesome. So you are our audio director.
Yep.
Okay.
So I oversee the sound effects, music, and VO production for the game. Which I have my hands mostly in the music. I have a lot of sound designers that are able to take care of all the sound design responsibilities. I used to do those a long time ago, but then we got way too many sound effects for me to do, and so I hired a bunch of other guys to do them instead, and they do a better job anyway. And then of course voiceover, which we have plenty of. So those are sort of the three big pillars of what I do: music, sound design, and voiceover.
Great.
Just a quick reminder, if you have questions for Brad, we're taking them in the Twitch chat right now. Just write them down. We'll come to them later in the segment.
Yep. So get your questions for Brad if you have anything about audio and ESO, how to get into audio, although he will be covering some of that in our Q&A here.
I'm sure you will.
So how did you become a composer for video games? I know that question comes up a lot.
Yeah. All right. So my particular version of that story is kind of long and backwards. I never set out to do anything in the video games business or even anything with computers in general. I started out as a musician, started out as a drummer primarily, and then was forced to take piano lessons and hated every minute of it. Paid off later, of course. And went to college, was focused on my music, but that was like, hey, I'm going to be in a rock band, be a drummer and all that. And college was just sort of something I did in between gigs. Not terribly successfully, I might add. And then realized I'd better actually get something out of college besides rock band experience. So I chose music. That seemed like a natural fit. So I turned my passion for drumming and rock and things like that into more serious music and started studying classical and taking theory, et cetera, et cetera. So I got a degree in music and decided to get right back into school. I got a graduate degree. Mostly still to support my drumming, lazy hobo lifestyle. I just wanted to stay in college forever. 8 years later, ended up with, well, 8 years total, ended up with 2 degrees, a master's in electronic composition, which 25 years ago, however long ago it was a pretty rare and weird thing to get. Most of the people around me were getting degrees in just traditional composition, or had nothing to do with computers or electronics or anything like that. But I did enjoy computers, I did enjoy gaming, and I certainly enjoyed music, and sort of just fell backwards into finding something that brought all that stuff together. And that was using computers to make sounds and music. But I still had no master plan after that. I was going to just play drums and hang out forever.
Sounds like an 80s movie.
Yeah, set in the 90s. So it finally occurred to me that wasn't going to work out so good. And just dumb luck, I had another friend, Dan Bernstein, who was in the same program I was, graduated a year before I did, and he was trying to reach out to me to get me to do some part-time work at a little company called Kesmai, which made online games all the way back in 1990s, early 90s. And he knew, because we had been in school together, that I knew how to use computers to make funny noises and so on. And so he had been trying to reach out to me for a while through email, and I'm not kidding, this was so long ago, I didn't know what email was, and I wasn't getting the emails. And I finally ran into him on the street, and he's like, why haven't you gotten back to me? I've got this great gig for you. 10 hours a week, come in and make silly noises on computers. And I was like, okay, that sounds like something to do. And it just, very cliched, one thing led to another. I started doing that part-time. I was working on like Legends of Kesmai, Air Warrior, Battletech, just really old MMOs. And doing sound effects with a bunch of other people. And as the years went by, the games got bigger and the responsibilities got bigger, and hopefully I got better at my job. And so then music sort of fell into my purview, and then so did voiceover and so on. And 20 years later, here I am.
Well, you definitely got a lot of fans out there within our community.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite part amongst all this on the job?
Doing the music, absolutely. Again, since we've got the game, the last several games I've worked on have been enormous, and this one is the biggest yet. The days of me doing everything are long, long gone. So I really rely on a lot of sound designers to take all of that away. So sound design used to be one of my favorite things. It's just that I don't do it anymore. Voiceover stuff, clearly I don't. Once upon a time, I used to actually do voices in the games because it was just little old me. Now we pay, celebrities all kinds of money to do that stuff. Thank God I don't have to do it anymore. You don't want to hear me doing any of that.
Or do we?
No. Yeah, go Google Legends of Kesmai and you'll hear my voiceover. Anyway, yeah, so the music is, it's my favorite. It's the most creative outlet. It's, like I said, all the way back to those piano lessons and being a drummer. I mean, that's, I wasn't making sound effects when I was 10 years old. I was beating on pots and pans. So to be able to be still effectively doing the same thing, to come into work and beat on pots and pans that are inside of a computer is pretty awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. So I know the whole audio team is very busy right now, as you guys always are. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on? I know there's probably some things you can't talk about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we are always very busy. So the two big things on the horizon, as most people know, Justice System and Imperial City, each have their own demands on the audio department. The Justice stuff is more about VO. We've got, 10, 12,000 more lines of VO that we have to shove into the game.
How long before
There's
something
no VO
hits
left
live?
in the whole world.
How long before something goes live do you have to finish? When's the VO lock?
I wish it was longer. We do a lot of coming in hot stuff. A lot of content's working on something and they want to get it as clean and polished as they can. On the other hand, we kind of want to put our foot down and be like, we need it by this date or else.
Yeah.
But we also don't want it to suck. So things slide, and sometimes we're like, here's the script. Here, famous person, go read that. It can be really fast. But really, it can 4 to 6 weeks, I would guess, if a content team is done with the zone and they're like, here's the VO, and we've played it to death, and this is what we want. Then there's a period where we prepare all the scripts and double, triple check them. We make pronunciation guides, which is kind of a hoot. It's literally Lawrence reading off. And we have 5,000 WAV files or something insane now.
We should totally release all those.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Put them up on. Never mind. Okay. So that's just one of these things that is something we didn't think about when we started doing voiceover. There's just a lot of little pieces, especially in a game like this, an IP like this, and you take it to 100 actors, some of whom are familiar with our game specifically, or maybe just games in general, or maybe not. Maybe they don't do a whole lot of games, and you start putting scripts in front of them, and you're like, okay, you know, now you're so and so, and you've got this 200 word. You know, you're really angry, and you have to say, and they're like, why? What am I? So we spend a lot of time working with the actors ahead of time, getting the scripts to present as much information as clearly as possible, getting that pronunciation stuff as clear as possible, even so that, you know, during a recording session, you can click on a word and it'll play. You know, it's a live pronunciation guide, so if somebody's like, I don't know how to say this, you go, just copy that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who are some of your favorite folks you've gotten to work with for VO?
Well, Kate Beckinsale was nice. I talked to Kate Beckinsale. John Cleese, I didn't get to go. I will never forgive myself for that one. We had some sessions were in France and in England, and that was right at the time I was trying to finish up the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
And it was literally one of these things where it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like, okay, I could cut like 10 minutes of music from the game and indulge my personal boyhood thing and just get on a plane and go to England and hang out with John Cleese. I was like, well, I'll just stay home and write music. And I didn't go. Alex Horn, who was our VO guy, he got to go do those sessions, and he's awesome. And that was fantastic. And of course he called and he's like, I'm with John Cleese, man. Thanks.
Yeah,
So,
rub it in.
but yeah, so I did hang out with some of the famous people in Los Angeles, which was nice. But the rank and I say rank and file, but the regular voice actors are amazing, amazing talents. A lot of them have been in lots of games.
Yeah.
They're great at what they do, and they're fun to work with. I mean, the whole thing is just a very relaxed, cool gig. You know, you get these people and they come in your sweatpants, and you come in your sweatpants, and it's just, I don't know. It's like Steve Bloom and those kind of guys. Everybody knows those names. They've done a million games, and there's a reason for that. They're great at what they do. So I can't say I have favorite voice actors because they're all cool.
Is there a usual process when you create a new song or a new sound effect?
Yeah, the process for creating sound effects is yelling at my sound designers to go create the sound effects and make them good.
That sounds good.
I should mention, so Matt Conway, Joshua Smith, Bill Mueller, and Brian Brockett are the 4 sound designers that we have, and they are phenomenal.
Do they really like go out and record things like outside the studio and stuff?
So there's the ideal way of doing things, and then there's the, oh God, it's all due next week way of doing things. The ideal way of doing things, yeah, there is some of that. And we wish there was more time to go out and field record and handcraft all your stuff. Of course, we handcraft all our stuff, but when you get to the 11th hour and you need, you know, one more set of Gore footsteps or something, you're like, I don't have time to go record a Gore in a cornfield. I'm just going to go to a sound library and whip something up. But they're incredibly creative and skilled with not just the millions of sounds that we have as source material to play with, but all the tools that they've. You know, I'm probably talking myself out of a job at this point. I can't touch the stuff that they do. I mean, 5 years ago, I was making all the sounds for the game, and it showed. And now, we've got these guys. I walk into their office, like Matt, working on the Dark Anchor, like that whole sequence.
It's so good.
He worked on for a couple of weeks, and it got, you know, revised not just on the sound front, but, you know, content kept. Oh, let's do this and put some stuff up here, and he just made that thing. He made it his own, and it's a really cool moment. You know, I hear lots of times players talking about when you hear that thing drop in the distance, and. So it's great to be able to just, like, I'm not kidding. I'm like, Matt, go, Dark Anchor, tell me when it's done. I'll be in my room writing music and playing games, you know. So.
Yeah. How do you approach creating a song? Do you start with a theme? Do you start with a, I need this for this new area, new...
So in the biggest sense, it started with how am I going to approach creating music for the game, for the IP, for the world. And there was a lot of homework that went into that. I'd been obviously a big fan of the Elder Scrolls music before I ever started on this game, so it was a huge honor to be able to think that I would get a crack at, you know, doing my version of that stuff. So in the biggest sense, it was getting into that world and getting my head around that stuff and making that kind of musical and stylistic language as second nature as possible, to be able to kind of put that compositional hat on and say, all right, well, today I need to do, and it needs to be in the style of Elder Scrolls. You know, there's clearly a type of music that defines that feeling, and if you stray too far or try to put, you know, too much of your own thing on it, or change it entirely, it's not going to fly at all. So
yeah, it's got to strike that nostalgic
yeah,
chord.
yeah, and I mean, I think we got there. I mean, if you, I've heard people say a lot that, you know, it feels like it's Elder Scrolls music, which was clearly, it was goal number one. You know, I didn't want, it wasn't like, I'm Brad Derrick and blah, blah, blah. You know, it was like, this has to feel like Elder Scrolls music. People have to get in there and feel at home. And the music and the ambience, the ambient audio, it's all a big part of that. Just to ramble off to the side for a second, there was the ambient sound design and the ambient music design actually kind of went in lockstep. There was a lot of that stuff that went together, so that they can exist without each other, but they work a lot better together. When you go to a place in the middle of Glenumbra or somewhere, and you just stand there and you let the music and the ambience and everything kind of wash over you. That was intentional. I mean, we tried to make that stuff work together so that, you know, when I worked with the guys working on ambience, I'm like, okay, you know, literally, like, what frequencies are you guys using? I don't want to step on your stuff. I don't want you guys stepping on my stuff. You know, I don't want really boomy low drums because you won't hear such and such ability or an AoE or the dark anchor or whatever. So I don't want to eat up the low end too much. You guys have the low. I'll have the mid lows. You can have the mids and we'll split the highs, you know, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So that, yeah, when you let it all go, it plays nicely together.
That's awesome.
But then down to specifics like piece by piece, then yeah, once you've got the Elder Scrolls hat on, you're like, okay, well, when you run around this zone, you know, let the biome kind of drive it or the story drive it, those kinds of things.
So you work with other musicians sometimes, like you got a chance to work with Maluka. What was it like working with her on the ESO songs?
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was great. I should mention that I think that it might have been your idea initially to give her a call.
It was kind of a group idea.
You just brought this up to blow your own horn. The Maluka thing was my idea. No, it was great. Of course, we were all familiar with her Skyrim music and her other stuff, and at some point somebody was like, "Hey, let's reach out to her," and we talked about doing just the one song that ended
Beauty
up
of Dawn.
being in the credits. And I don't think we even had a design on anything beyond that at that point. We're like, you know, let's see if she'll do this, write us a nice song, we'll use it, that'll be the end of it, it'll be great. And it turned out so well, and we liked it so much that, you know, I'm looking around my empty spreadsheet columns, and there's this big column of, hey, we need about 20 Bard songs. I was like, you know, this might not be a bad idea. And so it really, everything just fell into place after that. We already had 40 to 50 songs, the lyrical content, written by the writers to drop through the world as songs that you, just find as letters or documents, things like that. And we just packed them all up and sent them to Maluka and said, here's 50 songs worth of lyrics. You pick the ones that you like or think you could turn them into something musical, or, you know, feel free to adjust the phrasing and so on, so it's not clunky if it was clunky to begin with. And then just go nuts and check in from time to time, and we'll see how it sounds. And you know, of course, she was very gracious. She was very awesome, and she was, you know, she's always like, you know, give any feedback, or if there's anything you want to change, anything. And every time we listen, we're like, yeah, no, just do more of that. That's any feedback.
She's
just
very good.
Make more. Yeah, it was amazing. So we ended up with 10 songs that she wrote, and of course, we have bards throughout the world, male and female, different races, and she couldn't be the male, even though we thought that would be funny to try. But she didn't want to be an orc, so we said, all right, fine. So she is one of the singers in game, of course. You can find her singing those songs all over the place. And then we got another lady to do all the songs, and then 2 guys to do all the songs. So as you run around, you get some variety in the singers. And they're kind of, well, they are not kind of, they are race specific. Like there are some songs that are, anybody can sing them, and then there are some that are actually, you have to be the right race to sing them. And then as a side, we took the music from those songs and had them replayed by instrumentalists, and that's what the emotes are. And so when you do /loot, /flute, etc. So Maluka played the lute parts for the song. So when you hear her singer, or you hear her singing, and that's her playing, that's all her. But for the just dudes on the corner, or for when you bust your own out, as part of the sessions we did in Prague for the orchestral stuff, again, it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I'm like, wait, you got a lute and you've got a flute and I got an empty column in my spreadsheet. You know, why don't you just jam on these for a little bit? And just they literally did. It's the nice thing about working with gifted people is you play it through once. Like, here's Maluka's song, here's her version of it, and they listen to it and they're like, yeah, I got it. And then they just knock this stuff out.
Wow.
That's my Prague talk, by the way. And they just knock this stuff out. And you know, you want another take? No, God. Well, yeah, do another take. That was amazing. And so we just cut those up and dropped them in the game. And so that's what the emotes ended up being.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everybody now wants to be like you. Can you give us some tips? What should you
Careful what you
do
wish for.
to get into creating sounds, into creating sound effects in video games?
So that's another one I get asked a lot is how do I get your job?
Not your job.
I don't have an answer. Next question.
No.
So I think having it's cliched, but you know, preparation meets opportunity, and that's what it was for me. Is, you know, my long stupid story. I had all my skills and stuff together. I just happened to have the particular set of skills and background that when the opportunity arose, and I wasn't even seeking it out, and then I just kind of realized, like, oh yeah, this completely works. So, you know, whether you go to a school like Full Sail or go to some kind of program, or just through indie game development, you know, just sort of making sure you have your act together so that when you manage to land that QA job or something and you get your foot in the door, and then as a QA person, you know, maybe I'll QA the audio, and then maybe I'll make some sound effects when they're not looking, and then maybe the guy will quit or die and I'll get his job, you know. I mean, it's just, you just gotta get in there and stay in there. Just be ready, you know, be good at what you do, be a great person to work with, and then, you know, dogged perseverance. And I mean, that's kind of my story. Matt Conway, same kind of thing. He did the classic sort of, I'm going to start and go to Full Sail, learn a bunch of stuff, get a QA job, work in audio, specialize in audio. Oh, look, this other company's hiring sound designers. What the hell? I'll give it a shot, you know. And now he's here. He's
been here for a while, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. We have
Awesome.
a few questions from the chat.
Great.
Twitch chat. I'm going to start off with the one from Carter Hall, and he's asking, or she, assuming, any new Bard songs planned?
Yeah, we're talking about it. We're thinking about it. It's, you know, I can't make any promises, but I was just talking to Maluka last night, name drop that. No, it's a scheduling thing. Like, we'd love to have more, and I think she'd like to do some more, but it's a matter of finding the time and all of that. So, you know, no promises, but obviously we'd love to, and I think she'd be into it as well. So we definitely want to do it.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear more about that if it comes to fruition. So we have another one by Canine. Is this Canine Moose or Canine Mouse? I can't tell. Do you have a soundstage?
Soundstage. I have a very tiny, dark room with no windows. Soundstage as in, I guess I can't really ask back, as in like where to do Foley or where to do mixing, or I'm not. The answer is no. Whichever one of those is, no. We have, so it's myself and 4 sound designers, and we each have our own studios, and they're pretty modest. We do all our mixing and everything in our own rooms, and then from time to time we'll get together, either in a theater or a different setting or something, to check the mix or check how things are going. But now we don't have you know, a big fancy Jerry Bruckheimer film all the podcasts in front of the 256 channel. No, we don't have any of that. So.
Okay. Mario the Serpent would like to know, will we be getting a new suite of music for the new updates?
Yeah, I forgot to talk about that when you said, what are you busy doing? I'm busy doing that. So for Imperial City, I'm trying, well, hopefully succeeding to get new music in for Imperial City. Because after this much time, I figure even if, as a player, I would log into Imperial City and be like, really, this crap again? Like, you couldn't write some more music?
That won't happen.
Yeah, so yeah, all new music for Imperial City and the sewers and all the locales associated with that. So that is the plan.
Cool. All right, we've got one last one. So this one by Flaor. This is super important, okay?
Okay.
It's
Oh,
super
absolutely,
serious.
yes. Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. What is your favorite metal song?
Oh, come on. Well, okay, so You have to say either Angel of Death or Rain and Blood for the obvious reasons, because that's their sort of the germ for my entire life's purpose. Or a song? I mean, no. I'm going to say, as of today, if you pulled out my playlist, it would be the new Nails record.
Mm.
So, there you go. Nails.
Yay.
All right.
You nailed it.
Man. Can I go now?
Yeah, you can go. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Brad.
Okay.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very
great.
much.
Thanks.
All right, so
Yeah, let's go on. We'll take a look at the merchandise in our next segment. Okay, so we have some stuff for you, and we're starting with something that was out of stock, is now back, the wallet. It's a bifold wallet, branded with the Ouroboros, will be available back soon.
Kai, don't you have this?
I do. It's with me in my pocket. And we have one over here where we're coming to in a few seconds.
Okay. All right, and we also have an ESO snowboard. This is one that you may have seen in this store last fall. It is actually back in the store just in time for winter. We actually have one here. Let me pull it out.
Yeah, don't hit me, please.
So this is actually a really nice looking piece. There's only 50 made. You've got the Nord there, and then whoop, down here you've got the Ouroboros. So it's a very nice piece, even if you're not a snowboarder. I know some people get these and put them up on their walls. So it is available now.
So, and
Put this back over here.
if you have any of our merchandise, and you probably remember Ollie, who traveled with us, send us your photos. We'd like to see them.
Yes, I actually saw a picture of another ferret with
Yes,
with the pack
indeed,
on their
yeah.
back again. So that's becoming a thing. That was fun to see. All right,
Okay,
so I
next.
think
Giveaway
is it
stuff.
time? All right, time for our second giveaway.
And we're giving away the wallet. Probably not going to see it.
But it's a nice leather wallet, bifold. It's got the Ouroboros imprinted on the leather.
Yep. What do we want them to say? Right.
I can't think of anything clever right now. How about wallet?
Wallet.
Just type wallet in the chat.
Type it now. So, you don't have one?
No, not
Oh.
yet. I don't.
I should take one.
But I know you do. You should show
yeah,
everybody yours.
I should show, but
So we will send this
It's
to you,
well
but
loved.
it won't be Kai's.
no,
Sorry.
no, not. And I'm keeping Ollie too.
No, he's
Yes.
mine. All right. Who is our winner? Let's take a look.
Do we have a winner? Yeah, we do. And it's Formal Gaming. Congratulations.
Congrats.
We're going to send this to you as soon as possible.
Keep all your gold in this trusty wallet. All right, so here is the moment you all have been waiting for. It is our Update 5 preview up next. We'll have a whole suite of devs to speak to
So
you
many. Full house.
about each of their areas of specialty, and we will be having Q&As in between each segment. So stick around for each one. Put your questions in chat for each developer.
Yes.
If we get any questions for them, we'll ask those before we move on to the next developer. So let's get started. All right, so first up we have chat bubbles.
Yeah.
So they
we've
are coming
been
with update 5.
teasing for a long time. Now they're there. They will be in beta. Take a look. Give us your feedback. As soon as they're on PTS, there are several options you can play around with. And we want
And
to
they
know
are-
what you're thinking.
Yep, and they are defaulted to off.
Yeah.
So you will need to go in and into the menu and turn them on. It's in the interface menu there, as you can see on the screen here.
Yeah, you can turn it on for several different occasions for all the channels, maybe just for your friends.
Yeah.
You can also adjust how fast they should slide out, pass out.
Show up?
Show up? No.
Fade out?
Fade out.
Fade out.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah.
All right, and next up we're going to talk about face animation improvements. This is some of the stuff that you saw during QuakeCon. This is also coming in Update 5. And we have Judah Barron, lead technical artist, with us here today to talk to us about the face animation improvements. Welcome.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at ZenimaX Online Studios before we get started talking about the improvements?
Okay, yeah. So we have a group. It's the Tech Art group. We have, let me see, 4 people and myself. And a lot of our work consists of maintaining the character system, because we have such an in-depth customization system for characters. We've got lots of pieces and parts, and every time we add something, something else kind of breaks, and we're
It's like
sort
the
of
butterfly effect, huh?
it's kind of like plumbing, you know. You sort of like, whoa. So so that takes a lot of our time. We do support other groups, but it really not to the extent that we spend our time with the character and animation systems. And that's really what we've been working on for the last. So we're doing this facial animation upgrade, and that's taken months. It's months of work because of the type of game this is. We've got over 100,000 lines of VO and a lot of characters that we have to play an animation on. So the animators can't animate this. It's not hand built. There's too much. So we're taking animation from kind of a magic box, and we're passing it over to the game and saying, okay, well, we don't know what the players are going to look like. We don't know what the NPCs are going to look like, but we're going to hope that this animation works. And a lot of the time it does. Yeah. And we've had a lot of interesting and entertaining bugs.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it works, and I think it's compared to what we had. You know, we had nowhere to go but up with a flapping jaw.
Or the sideways jaw.
Yeah. That was a good
the
one.
Muppet mouth.
So yeah, we're pretty excited. We're pretty excited to see this go out with package 5.
Great. Yeah, I think the first time we saw this was back in, gosh, was it July? I think at QuakeCon. So yeah, you guys have been working on it for quite a while. It looks really good. So that is going to be coming in Update 5.
Next week on PTS?
Yes, next week on PTS. So definitely we'd love.
Any particular feedback you're looking forward to? I don't. It's going. How are you? Just sort of curiosity. How are you going to do this with all the 3 languages that we?
Oh yeah.
You know, that's still a question we haven't really answered. We're supporting English first, and that's our lead SKU. And we've got the other languages running. There's just not the same level of attention. We'd like to hit it, but it takes a long time. So we have an amazing QA team. They're very fast. They're dynamic. They're responsive, and they're really thorough. And it's great to have that kind of dedication. Without it, you know, we couldn't have done this. The problem is that we get information back, and then we have to respond to it. And so it's figuring out, you know, we get a bunch of bugs back from them, and we sort of look at them and go, okay, that's this and that's this problem, and okay, we can't do anything about that, and we sort of prioritize it. And some of the things like the other languages, unfortunately, just sort of go on another track, because the amount of time it would take for us to deal with them appropriately is kind of prohibitive at this point.
So what I'm hearing is Get onto the PTS, French
Yeah.
and German players. And
Yes,
Especially the
give us
French and
feedback.
Germans. This one goes out to all of you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and look for the entertaining bugs as well. I mean, every once in a while we get a kind of a screwed up face where the jaw sort of closes a little too much.
And we would
doesn't-
like to fix those.
Yeah, we'd like to hear about those.
And we've got questions from the audience. I'm
Awesome.
going to
Oh,
start.
really?
The first one is from McWin2. Says, are we going to see more reactive faces on player characters as well, such as pain or anger?
Ooh, like emotions.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so in package 5, the answer is no.
Yeah.
But that's our goal, and package 5 is our first update to the facial animation system, but that's not where we're stopping.
Oh,
we,
great.
we just, that, and we also don't have a lot of emotion in the delivery of this VO. It's
Mhm.
really just from here down, it's just words coming out. So it might be entertaining to see, you know, you'll see people yelling and they don't really look like they're yelling.
Okay.
But we're working on an update that will address some of that.
Mhm.
Again, it's a complicated problem because we can't go into each file and say, oh, well, let's animate this guy singing a song or shouting. We don't know that. We have to sort of derive that information from the sound itself and from the cues that we get from the audio team, like Brad, who was just on,
Yeah.
and sort of hope that a lot of it works out, and then we respond to the failures by putting in fixes. And but back to the answer to the question, package 5 addresses primarily conversations,
Yeah.
and so it's just when you walk up to a character and you have an interaction. Everything else is still the same old, same old. We've been talking about what it would take to upgrade the rest. We'd like one system to be driving everything.
Sure.
Mhm.
We don't have a timeline for that at this point.
But it is something you'd like to
it's-
do?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely on the radar, and there's a lot of excitement about it. It's just sort of a matter of, you know, getting through it's like what, I mean, it's very similar to what Brad was saying. You know, you just sort of, you get what you can done, and you move on to the next thing,
Yeah.
and hopefully John Cleese will come and play the game.
Oh, even more to look
That's
forward
great.
to.
Yes. All right. So we've got another one. This one is by Blackius. Can we get more hairstyle for character creation?
What does it have to do with lip sync?
We're not going to make it talk, but
Unless it's Jason's.
but there are. I'm not sure how much I can say about hair, but I know that we have hair.
Hair that we're working
yeah.
on.
There's more hair in the pipe.
Yep.
That's not usually a good thing, but in this case.
Plumbing, hair in the pipe. I'm
Yeah.
sensing a theme here.
It's on.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last question comes from, oh God. Oh, Moldy Lunchbox BX. Now I
Moldy
understand.
Lunchbox.
So, how much of a challenge was it to create facial animations for the beast races?
It was challenging, but we did what we call branch. So we treat the beast races separately. The beast races have their own set of poses. They so the issues that we have are really not beast specific. I actually think because they're beasts, not humans, we have a lot more leeway because no one's ever really spoken to a lizard man or a Khajiit
That
before.
you know of.
Well,
Do that
yeah.
every night in my dreams, maybe.
But we're tuned to pay attention to humans making movements with their face that mean something, and so we've got a little bit more leeway when it comes to cats and reptiles, and so it's not to say that they're perfect, but they don't take as much. They don't undergo as much scrutiny, I think. We are still working on refining them, but they're really kind of in parallel. And the problems that we have with the Khajiit and the Argonians and the humans are really the same. It's not necessarily that one is more difficult than the other. It's more that we have so many pieces of audio to deal with that we just never know. I mean, the other thing that we have is things speak that were not originally built to speak. So we've got a mammoth at one point, I know, is a speaker, and we didn't. There are trees, and
I love the raven.
So you know, so those are sort of, we just kind of go, all right, well, we'll address those some other time. Yeah.
Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions?
Nope, not today.
Okay. Was there
Thanks.
anything else you wanted to say, or?
No, I just hope everybody enjoys it. We're really looking forward to getting the feedback and for the future upgrades as well. Those are going to be terrific.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Judah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next up
is Zeb Cook. He is one of the zone leads and is going to talk about the Delve updates. That's an ongoing effort.
I'm really looking forward to
Everything's getting bigger. Yeah.
There's so many of them. I'm going to have to go back and on my low-level characters and play through them again.
Same with all these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, Zeb.
Hi.
Welcome.
I just magically appeared in
I
this
know.
chair.
It's amazing. That's the hot seat. It's our magic
hot
seat.
So, I'm zone lead for one of our mini zone teams, and basically that means I've got a group of people, content designers, writers, base pop people, and world builders, and we're responsible for, basically we get handed a zone and get told, figure out what's should be happening here, work out the stories, script it all, write it, and build it.
So you were like a world maker.
Kind of. Sometimes it's a pie, sometimes it's a little muffin.
I have to start somewhere.
Yeah. So right now we are working on the Delve expansion is what my team is focusing on. And
Is this the first?
No, it's actually been an ongoing process. We've already, if you were to go to Cold Harbor now, as opposed to when we launched, we've already expanded those delves.
Right.
And then we've also done Bankerai, the Rift, and Reaper's March. Those went out with the last update.
Right.
And so now we're coming into this next update, and we're continuing on with Alakir, East March, and Malabal Tor. And so basically when we came out, people went to the delves, they liked the delves, there were a lot of people in the delves.
Yeah.
And the first thing we said is, wow, these things are way too small, we needed to get more space for people. We wanted to make sure everybody had an enjoyable experience. So we've probably almost doubled the size of most of the delves, or at least half again as large. And then we've, the other thing we've done is we wanted to try and encourage people to spread out and go around. And so, if you've played the delves a lot of times, like, okay, I go down here, I go left, I go left, I go left, I'm in a big room, I go through the one-way door, and I'm out.
Yeah.
And we wanted to break that pattern for a lot of things so that people wouldn't be out, wouldn't be so predictable. So, there's more size to them. And then we really wanted to give art a chance to really show off and do more stuff. And so there's more variety. There's, if you go into a cave, it doesn't just stay a cave. We try to do some interesting things. And so the end result is we spread everything out all over the place. You go in one place, the boss is in this room, you go over here, and the Sky Shard is now in a completely different area of the delve. And if there's a quest, we try to make sure that it's pointing you to another part, so that when you go in, it's like, oh, he went that way, I'm going to go this way, because there's something to do. And that's what a lot of what we've been doing right now.
That's great. How many have you guys done so far?
Well, there are 6 delves per zone, and we do in each update we are trying to do 18 of these delves.
So, wow.
So we've already done 36 plus of them. and we still got a bunch more to go.
So this is an effort that's going to span through every single zone in the game.
Yeah, eventually that's the goal. I mean, we have to kind of pace it out because there's, as we all have been hearing from the other stuff in the updates, there's a lot of other work that's going on, a lot of things, and so we're trying to maintain a certain speed to it, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. This perfectly ties in with one of the questions we got from the audience. Java Who wants to ask, we've seen delves and dungeons extended in the game already. What delves can we expect in future to expand it? I know we've even gone to the first zone, and put some.
Actually, even in this update, we've started on there are like 3 of the delves in what we call the Tier 1, which is the Glenumbra and Auradon and Stonefalls. We had some extra time, so we said, hey, we can get one more in for each of these, and so we did that. And basically, we will then continue. We will keep continuing, and the goal is to expand all of them. Ultimately, is to get them all.
Okay, that's awesome. This is from Cold to Death. Many of the delves look alike. Are there going to be any modifications in the new areas?
Oh yeah, I mean that's really one of the big things that we really tried to do, and it's like, so for example, use an example. If you go into Santaki, which is in Alakir, I mean it's terrible. I have all this stuff memorized, right?
That's amazing. I look at these names and I don't remember which zones they were.
Yeah, so you go into this delve and it's a Dwemer thing, but there are bandits in it, and we said, well, what are the bandits doing here? Obviously, they're doing bandity things. But when we went to do the expansion, it was like, well, how do we said, here's an excuse. We can kind of do an explanation for how the bandits get in, and so you're running through this Dwemer delve, and you go through this tunnels, and you come out, and you're in a big canyon outside. You're in a canyon outside. And it's not a Dwemer delve at that point. It's something and so we're trying to mix things up and kind of add some unexpected stuff, and really let our artists have some fun with it too.
Yeah, kind of add some geographical diversity. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean one of the challenges originally building the delves was because they all had to loop back on themselves. They limited the artists as to what they could do, and by kind of lifting that restriction off of them, they've got more freedom to play with the pieces.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, we have 2 more questions. One very short one. I think it's just maybe someone can't believe it. Baku wants to know: are all delves in Reaper's March going to get bigger?
Are all the delves in
Reaper's March?
In Reaper's March? Yeah, they've already been enlarged. Yes.
Yeah. And then the last question is from Long Row, and he wants to know if we can raffle for your T-shirt.
I like my Velociraptor on a velocipede.
It's great.
That is a really great shirt.
It is indeed.
Well, thank you.
No, we're not going to take it away. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. All right, so next up in our magical seat, we have Jeremy Serra, our Dungeons and Trials lead.
Yeah.
And we'll give him a sec to appear in the magical seat. All right. Welcome for joining us,
Yay.
Jeremy.
Thank you.
So your team has been working on a lot. Dungeon scaling, the LFG. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at ZenimaxOnlineStudios first, and then let's talk about dungeon scaling.
My team is responsible for group content. Typically that's 4-man dungeons or 12-man trials. I've got a pretty talented group of people that I work with. I work with content designers, encounter/boss designers, effects artists, world builders, animators, and audio engineers, not to mention a talented crew of QA as well that pound our dungeons to dust until they're just right. That's pretty much what I do.
Awesome.
Okay, so why don't you tell us dungeon scaling? What are we supposed to expect?
Sure. First off, it is not just dungeons.
Okay.
Both solo instances as well as group dungeons will now scale. Solo instances will scale to the player's level.
Okay.
So a level 10 character could enter a solo instance and they would fight level 10 mobs. And a veteran rank 10 character could enter the same solo instance, instead fight veteran rank 10 mobs. So there's quite a difference there, which means that some of those old Mages Guild quests that you may have done,
Yeah.
You can catch up and would still be challenged.
that's right, they'll still be challenged, you'll get equivalent reward and equivalent
That's
loot.
great.
Yeah.
Nothing like going into a dungeon, everything's gray, loot's
Oh,
gray.
yeah.
You're like, oh.
Well, that's all changing. Now, additionally, our dungeons will scale to the level of the group leader. Our dungeons will unlock the Tier 1 dungeons. Those are Fungal Grotto, Spindle Clutch, and Banished Cells. Will unlock at level 10 and will scale up to a maximum rank of Veteran rank 12.
Okay.
All of our Veteran dungeons will scale from Veteran rank 1 up to Veteran rank 12.
Do you think that'll ever raise from 12?
I'm pretty sure it will.
Okay.
Our newest dungeon, Veteran City of Ash, is actually not going to scale, and it is set to Veteran rank 14. So if you're looking for a challenge, Veteran City of Ash is the one to try.
Awesome.
Incidentally, you can go into a dungeon below the minimum scale, but the mobs won't scale down to you. So if you wanted to go into Banished Cells at level 2, you could. You're just going to be fighting level 10 mobs, and
Right.
probably won't go
Okay.
too well for you.
Awesome.
Cool,
So, LFG system. I know that's going to tie into the dungeon scaling. What have you guys been doing to improve that?
Well, I don't want to take credit. That's the systems team that's been working on it, but I'm happy to talk about it. The LFG tool improvements. One of the big things that's changed, we've had some back-end improvements, so queue time should be considerably shorter.
Awesome.
So that should be a big boon. Additionally, if you're using the Looking for Group tool, it will group people that are plus or minus 2 levels from the group leader.
Oh, great.
Using the dungeons drop-down, it will populate with a list of all the unlocked dungeons. Dungeons unlock starting at level 10. They will scale up. I'm sorry. They will be the succeeding tiers will be available at levels 7 level increments. The last dungeon will be Vaults of Madness, which unlocks at level 45. Additionally, the instant that you reach Veteran rank 1, all of the Veteran rank dungeons will also scale.
That's great.
Additionally, in terms of the LFG tool, if you'll note, there is a dungeon mode toggle. If you set it to normal mode, you're accessing normal dungeons, and if you set it to veteran mode, you are accessing the veteran mode of the dungeons.
That's
those are
great.
Probably some of the biggest improvements.
Yeah.
This is round 1 of the Looking for Group tool improvements, but I couldn't speak knowledgeably on the rest, so stay tuned for further improvements down the line.
Great.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Veteran City of Ash
Awesome.
coming, and
Yes.
it's a spoiler alert now. If you don't want to be spoiled, wait
right.
until we
We
give
will be
you
talking a
clear-
little about the story.
Just a bit. Yes, so let's recap the original. In the original City of Ash, at the end of the dungeon, the city was on fire, the Bosmer village was burning. Gilrain, our quest granter, makes a deal with Mehrunes Dagon to take the place of the Razor Master that you killed at the end of the dungeon. I did say it was a spoiler. She enters the portal to go into the Deadlands of Mehrunes Dagon. Just as she enters, her husband Finganian, who's been unconscious through the bulk of the first dungeon, wakes up, finds his love running into the portal, and then promises to move heaven and Nirn to reunite them. So if you flash forward 6 months, 6 minutes, 6 seconds, it kind of depends on your gameplay speed, you enter the Veteran City of Ash. The Veteran City of Ash is no longer on fire. Nature has reclaimed the City of Ash. The reds and yellows of the fires have been replaced with greens and blues of the environment. The tree trunks that were aflame are now overgrown with green vegetation. Sentient crocodiles have kind of repopulated the area. It's not quite as nice, but it's certainly not aflame. I don't want to spoil too much. So you enter the dungeon and you meet Finganian at the entrance, and he enlists your help in joining an undaunted expedition to enter the portal, go into the Deadlands, and reunite him with his love, Gilrain.
Of course, it's the Undaunted.
Yeah.
It is. Undaunted.
Undaunted!
Undaunted.
I can't really say too much, otherwise I'd be spoiling things.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
dying to, incidentally, but I don't think it's appropriate. I want people to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, and they'll get to
We
try
won.
it next week.
Yeah.
That's right. So what can I say? In order to pay homage to the original City of Ash, one of the first bosses that you encounter is inspired by the Razor Master that you kill at the end of the original dungeon. To pay homage to Oblivion, of which the Deadlands are inspired, we've added a green Daedroth. I won't say much about him, but don't make him angry. Wouldn't like him when he's angry. And then, just because it's darn cool, do I want to say this? Yes. We have a lava titan, and I'll just leave it at that. What could be better than a titan? Perhaps if it were on fire. So
That is
what else?
exciting.
I guess the last little tidbit I could say is that much like many of our stories, this is inspired from one of the preceding games, in this case Oblivion. We're trying to pay homage to the Oblivion crisis from the game. Specifically, this quest and dungeon was inspired by the Wayward Knights quest from Shadenala, in which the player enters an Oblivion portal and tries to discover the whereabouts of a lost group of Knights of the Thorn. It's pretty much all I can
Lots of little
say.
Easter eggs, huh?
Yeah, I'm excited. There's a lot to see. It should be real cool. We're really excited to hear what people have to say about it.
Great.
Tell us. We want to know.
Yes,
We're
please.
dying to hear what you all have to say.
Yeah.
We are super excited.
We're dying to see you dying.
I always root for my dungeon.
We do watch your live streams, by the way, whenever you all are playing on the PTS. So
Oh, yeah.
please live stream if you can. We really do enjoy watching the live streams. We'll watch them through the weekend. We get a lot of good feedback that way.
Yep. We definitely do.
All right, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we do.
Great.
First question comes from Al Schulken, and he wants to know, it's not Update 5 related, but nevertheless interesting. As far as trials go, are there plans for larger trials than we saw on Cracklawn? And linking in on this, Decimus Must Witch wants to know, more traditional trials were mentioned earlier in the stream. Is there anything you can tell us about them? Or we're just taking them into consideration, but maybe you can give a little bit?
It was definitely something brought up multiple times during the Guild Summit last week. It is something that is also close to our heart. It's up to us to decide what sort of resources we can spend, but it's definitely something we're exploring, along with several other alternatives for what other dungeons and arenas we might do. But it is definitely something we are looking into. No promises.
No.
All right, next up we have a question from, I'm going to butcher this name, Kriprichus. Have you considered lowering the level of the first 3 dungeons to make the first 10 levels more interesting?
Yes. I believe that the first 3 dungeons are now slightly lower. They're now accessible at level 10. I believe their min rank was actually slightly higher in the past.
Okay.
So to that point, yes, should be done, this update.
Oh, great.
Okay, and the last question comes from Eve Knight. It's very long. Wants to know if what your thoughts are on making similar improvements so players of very different levels can reasonably play together outside Cyrodiil. Likewise, any thoughts on scaling based on the number of peoples, so people could do dungeons more easily with only 3 people, for instance.
These are also things that were brought up during the
So
Guild
dynamic
Summit.
scaling,
Yeah.
yeah.
Short answer, yes, we are thinking about it. Long answer, there are no immediate plans for it. We are definitely exploring different ways that we can increase the accessibility of our content across the board. Specifically with Dungeons and Trials, we have been discussing, and I repeat, only discussing, potential alternatives for how to do an easy or a hard mode so that we could appeal to both our casual segment of players as well as our hardcore, as we also want to appeal to the hardcore. The key is to strike a good balance, and that is part of why we're talking so much about it, is to make sure that we make the right decisions and don't just rush into something.
Great.
Well, thank you, Jeremy.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us.
It was a pleasure to have you here.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right,
Oh,
so.
isn't that great? The story continues.
Yes,
the
I
City of
can't
Elf was
wait.
such a cliffhanger,
I know.
and now we get to see more of it.
The 6
What?
months afterwards.
Or 6 minutes. Or if you're a veteran, do the first chapter, go out, do the second chapter,
Yeah.
and you know how it's going to continue.
Mm-hmm. It's like watching things on Netflix all in a row. You don't have to wait for the next season to start. You can just pick right back up.
Oh yeah, right.
All right, so next up we have Philip Draven with us. He is Senior Systems Designer, also Product Owner for, remind me?
The systems team.
The systems team.
We're responsible for many of the non-combat systems throughout the game.
Great.
Welcome.
So,
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
thank you. Glad to be here.
So we're going to talk about Undaunted.
Yes, we are.
All right.
So this ties directly in with what Jeremy was speaking about in terms of being able to scale the dungeons to any level.
Yep.
The Undaunted are taking advantage of this, whether they realize it or not, and they're encouraging players to go into these dungeons more often. So they've moved out of the bars, and they are now, but they now have their own enclaves, which are heavily laden with alcohol. So they're covered.
So we can still buy them.
You can still help them out, yeah. And so they're going to be sending players into these dungeons. We have new quests that we're calling pledges. So players can, starting at level 45, undertake non-veteran pledges where they'll be sent into non-veteran dungeons to complete them. There's tiered levels of success. So if you do the optional steps in the quest, you'll get a better reward. And if you end up getting to veteran rank 1, you'll start getting the veteran pledges. They're similar, but even more challenging and give you potentially better rewards. The way the rewards are scaled is that they're a series of keys, tiers of keys rather. So if you do a non-veteran dungeon and you don't do the optional steps, you'll get a bronze key. If you do a non-veteran dungeon and you do the optional steps, you'll get a silver. If you do a veteran dungeon and you don't do the optional steps, you'll get a silver as well. So that's going to be the kind of the standard key that you'll probably be getting. And then if you go and you do all of the most difficult optional steps for the most difficult type of pledge, you will get a gold key. And you take these keys to the Undaunted Enclaves, which are full of chests and items and fun things.
And alcohol.
And alcohol? What?
Alcohol.
Alcohol, of course. And you'll be able to open up these different chests for different items. There's going to be a lot of interesting new things there. I think we have someone coming up soon a little bit that will talk exactly about what those are, so I won't go too much in depth. But they are awesome and they are fun, and I think everybody will like those.
So I go to the Enclave, I get a writ, I go to the dungeon.
Pledge.
Sorry, a pledge. Talk about writs in a second. I get a pledge, go to the dungeon.
You group up with your buddies.
Yep.
Everybody will be on the same pledge.
And I can use the new Looking for Group system.
Using the new Looking for Group system.
That'll really help
it
with all the dungeons popping on that day.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody does the same one.
Yep.
And so I finish it, and I get a key, and I go to the chest and profit.
Exactly.
Yes?
And you
Okay.
can do two. Once you're veteran rank, you can do 2 a day because there's the non-veteran and veteran version.
Great.
So you potentially have 2 keys per day if you.
Double profit.
That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
higher chances.
So I'm pretty happy about that. I think people are going to like it.
And now
Awesome.
Jessica already said it. We'll have writs too.
Yes. So Ritz, which we started talking
Writs,
about.
pledges.
So.
It's all the things I'm planning on doing every day.
Right, so we're not just trying to incentivize people that are interested in running dungeons, but also the crafting community. So we're very dedicated to continuing to increase the opportunities available for the crafters. We've recently added a new trait with Nernhoned, and so we decided, we decided that we wanted to continue in this sort of vein by getting new players into crafting and giving them things they can do more often.
Yeah.
So the first thing we have are the crafting certifications. These are on-ramps basically for new crafters in order to learn how to craft. Not to worry for anybody who is a skilled crafter, they will be able to skip through any of that.
You can say, I know what I'm doing.
Exactly. and they will immediately certify you, and you can jump right to doing the writs, which is what we're working on. So once you've been certified, you will get these writs that are available throughout the world. And the writs will scale to your level and based on what you're certified in terms of your trade skills. And you can be certified for all of them, and you can do as many different types of writs as you like. So let's say I'm a low-level blacksmith and I'm certified, and I can go to a writ board, and I will pick up a writ for making certain iron armor and bringing it to a nearby location that needs it. When I do so, I will get a big boost of inspiration, some associated blacksmithing materials to further my goals, and potentially a survey report, which is something new that we're adding as part of the reward structure for these writs.
Great.
So survey reports are similar to treasure maps, which players are familiar with.
Yeah.
But instead of trying to find a location where you can dig up a treasure, it will actually be a map from your alliance telling you where to go to find extremely valuable resources associated with your trade skill. So again, taking the example of I just did my blacksmithing writ, I get a survey report, sometimes, not every time, but if you're lucky. And you will be directed to an area out in the remote wilderness, and you will find a plethora of iron nodes, which you can start harvesting for your materials. But these are high yield iron nodes, so you'll get even more than you normally would by a pretty good margin.
Great.
And then all the way up at the high end, we want to make sure that even players that have maxed out their trade skills have.
That was going to be my question. What about the people who are maxed out?
So one of the things that we've tried doing is, so the very top end being sent into Craglorn to, provide items for the people in need, as well as getting survey reports for Craglorn, which is obviously dangerous. You will potentially have a bunch of nodes, and those nodes have a higher chance of getting the Nirncrux trait items. And so you'll be able to kind of guide your hunt a little bit if that's what you're looking for.
That's great.
Now you still only can get so many per day, but that's your goal.
So, and the survey reports for provisioning are going to send me to the next bakery?
No, so the provisioning gets a little different. So whereas the rest of the trade skills are sending you out in the wilderness to find the resources, it doesn't necessarily make sense with provisioners. So
there isn't a field of bread?
Not yet. We haven't had bread flours yet, but the idea that we have here is recipes are one of the key ingredients for provisioners, obviously, no pun intended, and getting rare recipes is obviously often a challenge. So you will be getting a recipe every single time you turn in a provisioning writ, and very often they will potentially be a rare recipe.
That's great.
So we're hoping that you don't get a survey report, but you'll get recipes, and everybody will be okay.
I'm excited for those. And if you have all the crafting trade skills on a character, you can potentially do a writ for every single one of them?
All 6 of them.
Every day?
Every day.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. I like it.
And so that leads us to one last thing that I wanted to bring up with everybody.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about, we've been trying to add things to crafters to keep them engaged, to keep the community going. We've decided to add a new style. And so the new style that we're adding by popular request is Dwemer. And so players will be able to craft items that are in the Dwemer style, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't want to just add it as another book that you find very easily in the world, and so we're trying something a little different, semi-easily.
I still haven't all.
So we wanted to do something a little different and a little bit more engaging. So what we've tried doing is splitting the book into chapters, and the chapters are located throughout ancient Dwemer dungeons and delves and locations throughout the world that you can find rarely. And when you find one of these chapters, it will teach you not the entirety of the style, but a piece of the style. So you might learn how to make Dwemer swords or Dwemer boots. It also helps encourage people to diversify the market, so you're not necessarily competing with every other person that has found a Dwemer chapter. You can kind of corner your own part of the market. So we're hoping that incentivizes a lot of that behavior. So I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, that is great.
In terms of getting the style item, again, that's going to be a little different than usual. So players will have to defeat Dwemer automatons, various creatures that are Dwemer-centric, to collect scrap metal, which you refine into a Dwemer frame, which is the style item for crafting it.
Okay.
Will the current Dwemer scrap items work?
Those are still sellables. We're not encouraging people to stock up on them or anything. These are totally new, different items that look different, are labeled differently. I'm sorry. Somebody just has like 400 of them in their bank, and they're like, but you'll have to go out and get them. But again, with the new scaling with the dungeon, you'll always have an appropriate level dungeons that you can go to for Dwemer-centric items, and it will be an appropriate challenge for you to get all that. And then you'll make your style items.
Great.
Yay.
So we're
And
hoping that-
the light armor for Dwemer, it has the tunic and the robe?
correct.
Great.
Absolutely. We're
Okay.
not going to take that away from people's choices.
Ready for some player questions?
Oh, absolutely.
So we have another one from Al Schulken. And the question is, once again, not Update 5 related, but let's take it anyway. What exactly would poison making or jewelry crafting entail?
Oh.
I know
We haven't really talked about them yet.
Those are
Yeah.
more long-term plans.
Yeah.
We've definitely been looking at them. We're looking at how they integrate with all of our existing systems. We want to make sure we don't take away from anything else that's currently in the game. But we can't commit to any exact behavior that we're planning for those. We just want to make sure that it's really great.
All right, so we have a question from, this looks like somebody from Vokendine, LG Vokendine. Can we do 2 vet dungeon and 2 regular dungeon dailies only, or 1 vet, 1 regular each day?
It's 1 vet and 1 non-vet.
1 vet and 1 non-vet.
Correct.
Okay. Next for you. Oh, I can read it. Okay. Oh, hey, Shindig. It's the Art of Warfare Shindig. I believe I requested he grow a beard at the Guild Summit.
Wow.
What is the ETA on this edition, Zoss?
Well, if you notice, it's in progress. We're another work in progress. I can't commit to a firm timeline, much like other, non-update 5 features. But it's going. It's starting.
He's working on it for Movember, right?
Oh.
Right?
I guess so. What can I say?
All right. Well, thank
Well,
you so much for
thank
joining
you.
us, Philip.
I'm glad to be here. I'm super excited to see what people think of these new features.
Yes.
Um,
Please try them out on the PTS.
Yeah.
And they're a little different than what we've done in the past. So if people like parts of them but not others, we want to hear it, because we're going to be looking at similar type of things moving forward with other styles and
Especially
other
with
editions.
the Dwemer
Absolutely.
motif
Yeah.
and the way they drop.
Absolutely. We have a lot of other things coming down the pipe, and we want to make sure we take player feedback into account.
Okay, great.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh,
All right.
so
Dwemer
much
fate.
to do.
Dwemer.
I have no idea where to start as soon as this goes live. It's-
Oh yeah, I know. There's so much to
Yeah.
dig into.
And
All the
this
systems.
This is our biggest update ever so far, right?
I feel like it is. So if you all find that you have a lot of follow-up questions about the stuff that we're talking about, please do head over to our forums, and we'll do our best to get the developers to pop on and answer those questions. We'll also be putting together some articles that kind of explain some of these systems
Yeah,
a little bit
yeah.
more, so you can be prepared before these systems come live in Update 5. And next up we have Eric Robel.
Yeah, he's fighting with sound. There we go.
I put on the microphone. Don't worry, we're ready. And I got 2 shirts of my favorite color. I've been working on my beard. I'm ready to talk about some other scrolls.
All right, so Eric Robel, our gameplay designer, also in charge of itemization, skills and abilities.
Yep, I kind of like to think of myself
Right.
as the Santa Claus of Elder Scrolls Online. I have a lot of new toys for you guys that we're gonna be talking about here.
Okay, let's get started. We already talked about it quickly in the stream earlier. The veteran rank improvements are coming to Update 5.
Right. So we've been working on Champion really hard, and it's gonna be really great. But since it's not quite ready yet, we wanted to get you guys out some improvements as soon as possible. So we've made it so that you can get veteran ranks faster, and we've also made it so that you get a stat point and a skill point whenever you hit a veteran level. So you're leveling up and you're progressing your character as you're going through the veteran ranks.
Yay.
Does anyone have a question? Yes. What do you got?
What if I'm already max level? What if I'm already VR 14?
That is a great question. We have actually
So
thought about that,
staged.
and I don't know what you're talking about. We've never even practiced this.
No.
So if you're veteran rank 14, when you log on, as soon as patch 5 hits, you will have all those points granted to you. So you'll have a whole handful of new stat points and new skill points.
It's like Christmas.
It is.
That's great. All right, so we've also heard that you're working on some much requested werewolf changes, and
Yep.
that those are finally coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about them.
It's been a long time coming.
Several teasers.
Yep. I wish we could have gotten to that faster, but we wanted to make sure that we got out a full set of new abilities for the players, because the werewolf gameplay, you just didn't have a lot of options compared to your normal character. You had a full set of 5 abilities. So we've loaded up the hotbar now, so you can now have a full set of 5. The first one is Herstein's Bounty. That one's really cool because it adds something to Werewolf that you never had before. It's a heal ability, and it costs magicka. So you can spend both of your resource pools, and you can sort of like customize your werewolf to be, oh, I want to stay alive really well, so I'm going to spend points in magicka, and I can activate this more, and it'll be more powerful. Or you can be more of a stamina-based werewolf, and you can have more powerful attacks and be able to use your attack abilities more often. Speaking of attack abilities, the next one is Piercing Howl. This is a knockdown ability that'll put the enemy on its butt and stun them, and also deals high damage. And then the last ability that we've added is called Infectious Claws. And that ability, you sort of swipe all the guys in front of you, and you do a whole bunch of damage, and you also put a disease damage over time effect on the enemies to keep doing more damage. And all these abilities also have new morphs and stuff, but I don't want to ruin everything for you guys, so you have to get out there and play with it yourself to see some of the new stuff.
So I know we say it's a lot, but next week, PTS, help us test the werewolf, please.
And expect 37 pages of patch notes.
Yes,
with
37 pages of
lots
patch notes that we have carefully localized into French and German.
Yeah, and lots of points for the werewolf himself.
Yes.
But there's more. Stamina abilities are getting a boost too.
And that's not all. If you order right now, with the sort of the philosophy in general that we've been going with is increasing build diversity through buffing.
Right.
So instead of sort of like nerfing a bunch of the more powerful abilities, we've been bringing a bunch of the less effective ones to be more powerful. And patch 5, we were focusing on the stamina abilities. So we went through every ability in 2-hand dual-wield bow and 1-handed shield and compared them to the magicka abilities to make sure they were sort of equal in power and like increased their cast time or increased the damage done. And then some abilities received minor tweaks like that and some more major changes. So just to highlight some of the more major ones, with 2-handed, the momentum ability, which previously it increased your attack power and it gave you a little bit more attack power over time. That was kind of a cool ability, but it was sort of hard to see because we don't have a lot of UI that tells you what the stacking bonus is. So now it gives you a big old bonus to your attack power, and it'll also heal you while the ability is active. So it gets a lot more utility for those sort of 2-handed brawler guys who want to go in, to the middle of combat and mix it up, but they're going to get hit with some damage abilities as well.
It could be kind of cool for a tank, huh?
Absolutely. And then for the dual wield ability, we changed. One nice change we made is with the puncturing strikes ability. It used to give attack speed, which wasn't that useful with the way people are blending their abilities and their weapon attacks. So we changed that to now give you increased damage every time you stab. So each hit is doing more and more damage, so you're sort of like getting more powerful as you use that ability. With bow, one of the passives called long shots, it gives you more damage the further you are away from the target.
The further you away?
Like if you're standing really far with a bow, you'll get extra damage, right?
Yeah.
Which that's cool and that makes sense. But the way we had it set up, you had to be extremely far away to get the max bonus. So we just reduced that. So now the normal range of abilities will get it. Before, basically, you could only get it with snipe when you were standing super far away.
Right.
So now if you're just standing at like normal, bow range, a whole bunch of, pretty much all your abilities are going to be hitting for full damage. So
That's much nicer for PvP situations.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then one last improvement I'd like to talk about is the one-handed shield. We made the puncture ability cheaper. It now costs considerably less amount of stamina because that's like the bread and butter ability that you're using all the time, and we didn't want you to have to give up all your resources, your stamina resources, to make the monsters attack you, and then you didn't have any to defend yourself because you want to be blocking and dodging and stuff like that.
Right. Well, that sounds like some really good stuff to skills.
Yeah,
So what about item sets? I know you've been working on those as well.
Don't worry, I got more toys in my sack.
oh yeah.
So, first off, we have the Twice-Born Star item set. That's a crafting bonus, and it's really for like the crafters who invested a lot of time and a lot of effort. So they have to have 9 traits researched to be able to make this. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of work. But we got a pretty cool, unique bonus. You'll be able to have 2 Mundus Stone buffs on with that set.
Is nice.
Oh. Can I ask my completely
yes.
spontaneous
Okay,
question?
yep, you have a random question, great.
Yeah. What about the trait divides? Is that going to work on both?
Yes, absolutely. So
Oh.
we're really looking forward to players, mixing and matching and getting cool buffs and seeing how they explore that.
Yeah.
There's more though. For the Undaunted quests, we have unique item sets that you'll be able to get just from those chests. And the theme of those is mixing and matching your resources. So when you use a stamina ability, it buffs your magic abilities, and when you use your magic abilities, it buffs your stamina abilities. So that's another thing we've been doing to help sort of promote build diversity. And so normally abilities that wouldn't really work very well together, now if you get this item set, you're like, oh man, there's so many more possibilities now. I can combine things in a lot of really interesting, cool ways.
There's more for the Undaunted, right? We're
Yep.
cutting off heads.
Yep. So that's the monster helms. Now in every Undaunted dungeon that we have in the game and that we're doing in the future, we'll have a mask, and it'll look like the last boss in the dungeon, and you'll have a low chance to get that when you kill the boss. And also when you're doing these Undaunted pledge quests, you'll get a shoulder piece that matches that helm, and when you get those two, it'll give you sort of a unique, cool set, and it'll have a unique proc as well. And they don't match exactly what the bosses do, but they give you a power. All right. We can't have players proccing 10,000 damage abilities, and we can't have you stunning people for 15 seconds or any of the crazy things that bosses do. Throw someone in the air, and then they.
So much for Santa Claus.
All right, you know what? You're getting a lump of coal.
So are the procs are they passives?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they proc in a lot of different ways, and we wanted to support different play styles and sort of diversity with that as well. So if you're an offensive character, you can do procs on your heavy attacks or your light attacks, or not maybe. I know I made them. I made a bunch of them. I work with the team, right? I know. There's also damage over time effects, where it'll proc off of, so you can make a unique build where you're like, I just want to get as many meteors thrown down on the enemies as possible, so you're just going to have all damage over time effects, and then you can get that one to fire a whole bunch. We're also having them support like healers, so when you heal players, it has a chance to summon like a healing totem.
Oh, cool.
And then for tanks, we haven't forgotten about them either, so they have things that'll proc when they take damage, and they have different buffs to their armor or things that'll buff their allies to be able to protect them as well.
So these are pretty rare sets, I imagine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
Okay.
gonna take a while, and as Phil was mentioning earlier, you do have to get the gold chests to be able to get these
Yeah.
items, which is pretty difficult. But I think once you've gotten them, they're really rewarding. They're really cool looking, and these are just really great items that I'm excited about.
Awesome.
Okay.
So any other item sets you want to talk about? It's like there's Undaunted.
Yeah. Okay.
There's-
We got a few more. All right, we can talk
Okay.
about some more. All right. Yeah.
Wow.
So the new dungeon, the Veteran City Vash, has some new item sets, and those are focused primarily on heavy attacks. We wanted to sort of promote that, since in one of the previous updates we made it so that heavy attacks give you resources back. You get
Right.
magic and stamina now.
Yeah, that was update 4.
Which is and that's really cool, and we wanted to sort of support players doing more heavy attacks and sort of mixing them into their combat experience. And then the one last thing that we have in terms of item sets, we buffed up a whole bunch, or we made new versions actually of some of the old Celestial sets for the Serpent Trial.
Oh, great.
So I'll just give you a quick example of one of them. The Warrior set, which would turn you to stone if you got really low health. So it's a really good tanking set. There are a couple problems with it. It lasted for a really long time. So you like turn to stone and save yourself, but then your allies would start getting attacked and get killed. So we reduced the time you turn to stone, so you can get time to save yourself, and then you can get back in the battle. The new version of the set will give you a whole bunch of ultimate when you activate it. So you get low, you save yourself, you can pop an ultimate. And also it reduces the cooldown of the ability. Before it could only proc once every hour, which is a really long time. Like it was a nice bonus, but it just couldn't happen very frequently. So we significantly increased the frequency at which it'll happen too.
That's awesome.
Yay.
All right.
Christmas coming early.
Seriously. All of that in Update 5. All right.
Yeah.
So do we have any questions for Eric?
We do. And
Great.
you should be prone after the Guild Summit, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I answered some questions for those guys, and in fact, it was really funny. I was watching one of the streams they had, and they said, we want to be able to clone Eric so we can just ask him questions all day long, and he can still make the game while answering questions for us.
Yeah. Great.
Well, you'll be on the forums to answer some questions too.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, the first one is just a clarification from Cold to Death. And he would like to know is...
Oh yeah, I know that guy. He's great.
Good. Is the werewolf skill bar different from the normal skill bar?
Yeah. You have a different hotbar, and you can put the abilities on there you want. You can only use the werewolf skills while you're a werewolf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a separate hotbar, so it's not like, oh, I'm a werewolf now, so I'm using up one of my other skill bars to do this. Yeah, you have a totally different one.
Okay. We have a question from Dark and Flare 15. What are some new...
Better than 14.
Yeah, better than 14. What are some new skill lines?
New skill lines.
Or can, maybe, if you can't talk about new skill lines, can you tell us if there are any new skill lines that we are considering? Are we considering new skill lines?
Well, we talked about the justice system.
Yeah,
The
we're
justice system, that's right.
So justice system, we're definitely talking about putting some new skill lines in for that. There's also, and sort of like in general, like any new system that we add, we want to support it, on the gameplay side as well as the content side. In addition to that, we're constantly looking to update existing skill lines. The way we have with the werewolf, we're also looking at adding new abilities in other places too, like ABA, which doesn't have a huge number of abilities.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Frank the Vile would like to know if there is going to be a level restriction on the veteran items, the set you just talked about.
Ah.
On which items?
On the sets you just talked about. So the
Is there a VR
the
level
Undaunted
restriction?
Monster Helm, the Undaunted set.
Yeah, so you basically just have to be able to access the content. So if you kill the veteran boss at veteran rank 1, you get a veteran rank 1 version of the hat, whereas if you kill him at 14, then you get a veteran rank 14 version.
So I have to cut off his head several times.
I mean, if you're really into that, yeah, go ahead, man. We're going to support you in that.
All right, last question. This is from Blackius again. Any plans to add new stamina or magicka skills and an AoE aggro skill for easier tanking in hard situations? So I guess that's kind of a two-parter.
Okay, so the first part was just, are we adding new skills?
Any new...
New stamina or magicka skills.
So I guess that'd be yes.
So
yeah.
probably next,
So definitely coming up with ABA, we're looking at adding some new skills. With the justice system, we're investigating adding new different skills. So yeah, we're definitely always looking at adding and expanding what we have currently. In terms of AoE sort of threat abilities, that one comes up a lot as a request. And sort of, we didn't want to sort of have the gameplay style of I'm the tank and every single monster just attacks me the whole time, because then no one else is sort of dealing with the monsters. Like everyone in the game has block and everyone has roll dodge, and we want players to use those abilities. And we want, as the tank, you to deal with the biggest threats and the worst monsters, not every single monster in the game.
Right.
So, and it creates sort of an interesting sort of fluid combat where people are constantly being attacked, and then maybe you get low health, so the tank needs to taunt the one guy that was attacking you. So we generally like how that's playing. Sometimes people just try to, they feel like they have to then taunt every single guy one at a time. Like, I have to taunt this guy and this guy and this guy, and that's kind of frustrating. So we are looking at doing things in the future that would sort of change the gameplay for the tank and make it sort of more interesting and exciting.
Okay.
Yay.
All right. So that is the end of our questions for you, Eric.
Great.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
Well, we worked really hard on this package 5 stuff, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. I was really happy to be able to tell you about all the great things and give everyone presents.
And this is just a part of what is to come in Update 5.
Oh, yeah.
Please check out the patch notes.
Yeah.
As we said, they're very long, and we'll have them up next week.
My fingers hurt. I typed a lot of patch notes.
You did not. No, you did.
And update 6, we got a lot of really great stuff coming for that, and I'm excited to come back on the show and tell you guys more about it.
Yep.
But I'm going to get back to my desk and start working on it, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Eric. Oh, all right. So we have one last giveaway to wrap up before we say goodbye to you all. This is for a T-shirt. So it's a gray Ouroboros T-shirt. It's very soft. Just type T-shirt. Just T-shirt, no hyphen.
Yeah.
In the chat. And if for some reason we don't have your size, we have a bunch of other really cool shirts, and we'll get you one that's your size. Oh, update 5. I'm going to be so busy.
Yeah, our work just starts now.
I'm excited though. You know, it's hard when you work here and you are always talking to the community and watching the forums. It's actually hard to find time to play.
And all these spoilers, come on.
All right.
Okay, do we have a winner? Shall we close it? Yeah.
All right, who's
Let's
our winner?
close it.
Drum roll. Our winner is Sandrar2101. Congrats, Sandrar.
Hey, congratulations.
Jason will get in touch with you. He's our community coordinator backstage.
Backstage.
He'll get in touch with you and send you your T-shirt. So that wraps up our show.
It does.
A very meaty show. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about anything we talked about, the developers will come onto the forums and help us answer questions.
Yeah.
Please come onto the official forums. We'd love to hear from you. We also hope that you will help us test Update 5 on the PTS
we
next week.
mentioned Update 5, come and test.
PS,
And
come and test it.
Yep. And you Germans, French guys, I'm looking at you. Test the lip sync.
All right, so thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, we will be back in 2 weeks on October 24th.
Yep. And as I
not
mentioned,
we, but
yes, I will be out, but Kai will be back with Gina. Gina's currently on vacation. That's why you don't see her here today. Sometimes we will switch up the hosts on this show, so don't be alarmed if you don't see one of us. And as I said, please let us know what you think of the show. If you have any questions, anything at all, any suggestions, you can go onto the official forums and let us know.
And don't forget to share all your work, all your creations with us. We're always looking for fan-created content.
All right, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you in Tamriel.